Coming up on this week's episode.
I did not like this season at all.
When a random white person comes here and goes into an ashram, the rest of us still have to go about doing our jobs.
But who doesn't wash fucking blenders left overnight? Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Two Please. I'm your host Abhin. I am once again joined by Aniket, old friend of the show, old friend of mine really, who was on the streaming episode. So glad to have you back on for this week's episode, my friend. How's it going?
It's good. It's on theme because I'm in a hotel. It's not the White Lotus, but I'm in a hotel room. How are you doing?
Yeah. I'm good. We are, as you mentioned, discussing the White Lotus today. But have you noticed I haven't introduced like the other person that's supposed to be on this podcast? So because I have been blown away by what he's doing. So I'm just going to let him.
Oh my god!
And I'm the co-host, Rohit, who has decided to commit to the theme this week. I'm like,
So
I can't actually go to the White Lotus. I'm too broke. This is the best I can do.
Abhin asked us to be on theme, and then he's the least on theme person in this episode. Great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have boards on my shirt and all.
Wow.
Win.
Yeah, I was
That's
trying
very
to
Thailand.
be the more demure, very demure type, but you guys have clearly committed to the part.
Yeah, that's
is
what
very
they all
smart.
say.
The hat stays.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not
That
taking it
is-
off.
I like it. I like the fit, dude. It's nice.
I do too. Yeah, but like as we have done such a bad job of introducing it, but I would like to introduce the topic of today's episode.
Oh, yeah.
Discussing season 3 of The White Lotus, which just concluded this past week. I caught up on it a little bit late. I was lagging behind by a couple of episodes, so over the course of the week, I managed to catch up. I have thoughts. Aniket has thoughts. The audience that listens to this podcast also has thoughts. Rohit has very strong thoughts. Clearly, you can see by the way he's dressed. So it's going to be a lot to unpack this episode. We're going to do deep dives into the season. We're going to look at what the future holds for the series, what this means for event television going forward. So much to do and so much to talk about this week's episode. I'm so glad to have both of you are back on. Let's start the show. Season 3 of The White Lotus debuted on the 16th of Feb and has just concluded its run, as we said. And I think for the first time in the series' existence, there's been quite an amount of mixed reactions to it. Right from the opening episode, from the opening theme onwards, really, there's been like this small undercurrent of disgruntlement that's been pervading through the entirety of the show's run this time around.
Until the
It has
final
not
episode.
stopped.
Yeah, it hasn't
exactly.
stopped yet.
So what we'll do, guys, is we'll probably run through first impressions of what you thought of the season. What were your favorite seasons, or how does it compare to your favorite season, or is this your favorite season of The White Lotus? So let's just start there and take this off. Aniket, you're the guest, my friend. What do you think?
Okay. I think the White Lotus season 3 is by far the best season of the White Lotus, and I know this is going to piss a lot of people off because for the first 4 or 5 episodes, which is like more than half of the entire season, it is slow burn television, right? So a lot of people went, this is mid, this is boring, this is whatever other adjectives. But what I really liked about the show was, for the first time, it went, though it was a beach setting, it was a holiday beach setting again, but it went dark for the first time. Compared to the first 2 seasons, I think season 3 dealt with a lot more messed up shit. Like it's way more messed up than the first 2 seasons, I would say. Though the deaths, I mean, at this point on the White Lotus, you sort of have the format, right? Like it's they show people dying right in the start. You don't know who they are, and you spend about 8 episodes finding out who they are. But that's the whole point. It's not about the deaths anymore, and it's not about finding who dies, because someone's going to die. And given it's season 3, it was going to be 3 people, because that's what television has become today. But I actually loved it. I really, really liked this show. I was confused in the middle for the first 2 or 3 episodes. I was like, wait, where is this going? I probably don't get it. And, I was in that no man's land with everyone else, because a lot of what you think about shows today is sort of dictated by your algorithms and your feeds. I'm like, oh, other people hate it. Am I supposed to hate it too? I was in that space for a very long time. But by the last 3 episodes, that's 6, 7, and 8, God, that I think it's from that Sam Rockwell episode. Whenever he comes in, that's when the show just changed. Like the season just changed for me. I was like, okay, this is White Lotus, and I'm in. Yeah, that's what I thought about it. I thought it was really good.
Let me come in with a completely contrarian view to that. I did not like this season at all. It was probably the weakest of the three for me. Also colored by the fact that a month before the season aired, or I think just when White Lotus started airing, is when my wife and I, Poonam and I, had gone to Thailand for a week income. So I'd just come back and I was like, okay. So, then you're like, okay, let's see how this measures up. Because I've not been to Hawaii, I've not yet been to Italy or Sicily, right? So, I was like, okay, I want to see if they caught the vibe the way I felt the vibe of Thailand was. How do I put this? I don't care about the problems of rich white people. I don't care about how rich white people are experiencing. Fuck rich white people, in a nutshell, to begin with, right off the bat. And after 3 seasons of this, I think I've sort of had my share of watching, them trying to grapple with shit. Most of us are never even going to have the privilege of experiencing, right? These are problems you won't have the privilege of experiencing. So I'm just like, yeah, what a fuck you, right? So there's that. And like you rightly said, Aniket, it was like speaking of first impressions, it is a lot slower. I guess this season had 1 or 2 episodes more compared to previous seasons.
Yeah.
I think it had
2
8,
episodes.
the others had 6. Yeah. So maybe they had more time to, play with. But I remember we finished watching the first episode and Poonam and I was like, that doubt creeps in your eye.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm not feeling it. What's up? Now in hindsight, I've come to realize, which also ties into my answer on which is my favorite season. I've come to realize that, like you said, now there is a format, right? Someone dies at the start. You watch weird white people deal with fuck all problems for whatever number of seasons, and then a resolution happens. Who died, right? At this point, White Lotus is location porn. It's escapism where you get to experience a form of life which unlikely you will be unless you come from that kind of privilege, right? So I'm just like, hey, I don't care. I just want to see what the 4 seasons suite looks like, right? How big is that pool? At this point, that's what I'm noticing in the show, right? And not to take away from the character, I'm not saying all of them fell flat. There were interesting dynamics that we'll come to in this season as well. But that's kind of what my takeaway from White Lotus has reduced to, especially at the end of the third season. Which is also why coming to answer the question, which is my favorite. I think the second one, although I feel story-wise the first one is the best, is just I really want to go to Sicily. I love history and like it. That second season had a good mix of history and island life and beaches, and I thought that it was a step up in terms of the quality of the cast as well. Which is why for me, season 2, it's 2, 1, and like way below is 3.
Okay. So I knew Rohit didn't like this season, and we've been having discussions about this, and I was kind of on the fence about it till about the last 3 episodes because this season really took its time. Much like Aniket, I too had a similar reaction where once it started coming together, I went, oh, okay, this season is clearly operating at a completely different tempo compared to the other two. Maybe it's the longer episodes this time around, or maybe it's just the characters and the subject matter of what's being tackled here, right? The uh, the key characters so involved. There are some that really land and some that don't land at all. And I think this is probably the first season of the White Lotus where all the characters, where like different groups remain disconnected for extended periods of time. I think by the fourth or the fifth, there's some sort of intermingling happening during breakfast, where basically a lot of dynamics are set. But this was the first time where it felt like there were these little groups that were resolving their own personal traumas by themselves, and eventually somewhere along the line intersecting with the other groups. Like you said, from the Sam Rockwell episode to the full moon party, I think the full moon party is kind of where things really kick off.
True.
Because you're just like, okay, like there's a hint of something that happens in the first episode, and you're just like, okay, where is that going to go? And then it's probably the most insane what the hell moment I've had in television for quite some time. The series finale isn't bombastic in the sense. As a matter of fact, it has one of the most, I don't know if nobody ever told Mike White about the biggest twist in all of movie history. It has that as the focal point of its storytelling. There's some really interesting decisions, and there's some not so very nice cop outs. But I understand why they made those decisions, and I akin this show to a mellow high. Like it's just you kind of are on this extended mellow high for about 6 to 8 hours. It's not really dropping off. You aren't really escalating to a point where you're like, dude, I'm having this out of body experience. Yes, there are a few moments where you're just shaken a little bit by what you're experiencing, but it kept like it's a smooth ride to the end, which is why I really ended up liking it. I think season one for me is probably the good season in terms of the dynamics. Season two, I love purely because of the interpersonal dynamics. This probably is somewhere in between. I'd say I'd go 1, 3, 2. Two is a little, I wouldn't say flamboyant. I'd say it's a little
Yeah.
masala types. It's like it could be a Bollywood show
It's very
without
Bollywood.
some of the
It's very
visual. It's
Bollywood.
very
Yeah.
Bollywood, right? It and I found three to be somewhere around the line where it kind of course corrects a little bit, and I like shows that take its time. And this was one such show, and a big fan of what it of what it gave me.
I quite enjoyed the fact that in season 3 they made the decision to sort of silo them out a bit, because that sort of becomes formulaic, right? Like everyone is supposed to meet everyone, and there are some bits in season 3 that apparently got cut out. Fan theories suggest, and even Mike White does a podcast and he said they cut out some bits where certain other characters are supposed to meet each other. I actually think that made this show slightly, this season slightly better than the other ones, because otherwise we are in that format of storytelling where the White Lotus has been replicated around other shows now. The similar kind of storytelling structure has been replicated on other shows. So it feels nice to see something which is like more reality TV rather than a fiction TV show. It's literally cut like a reality TV show. There are these random intercuts of monkeys and water splashing. It's very visually direct. He doesn't hide any of his belief systems or any of his, like those three monkeys metaphors and all those stuff, all those things. I think he's very direct with that, and this time he just went all out with it's all going to happen in threes, and they kind of stuck to it. Yes, I agree that some stories on this particular season were not as good as the others, and some were proper cop outs, but some I think also were like proper red herrings and like MacGuffins throughout the entire thing. Like the security guard and the thing that was a all out, like I'm like, Lisa has been cast for some reason. There has to be some reason, and it felt really terrible at the end when it's like,
Yeah.
that's it. There's nothing more to
Mhm.
her story and the security guy talk story. So that was a cop out. There were some moments that were cop outs, but overall, I quite like the fact that they broke away from season 1 and 2. Season 2, like you said, Bollywood. I think they took the theme of lust. If season 1 was greed, season 2 was lust, right? So lust, they went
Mhm.
all out with it, and I think that's where the White Lotus also became famous, because all of those points and like some certain characters I think got very very popular because of that. Certain dialogues got popular with that. I think with this one it's more spiritual and pride. I would say pride is the common theme amongst all of them. So yeah, this one was, it was quite different from the other two. Probably that's the main reason I like it, because I was like, what are they going to do in season 3? It's going
Yeah.
to be the same thing
Did you
again.
also, did you guys also think it was less, it was the least funny of the three? I
Yes.
don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
It was more serious.
it was way more serious, and the meme moments just came from certain characters in this one, whereas the previous
Yeah,
two, like the deaths were funny deaths, they weren't serious deaths. Like even when a major character dies in season 2, it's a funny death. They die accidentally almost.
I was just laughing.
Season 1, same thing, it was funny, the deaths were funny, right? Like when Armando dies, it's funny. Armando, right, his name is, yeah,
Armand.
when he
Yeah,
dies,
yeah.
it's fun.
Mhm.
Armand, when he dies, it's funny, but here it crushed me, dude. Like here I was shipping these two characters and then they just die, and it's sad, and that kind of made it all the more better compared to the first two, because I thought again they're going to do some gag and some funny random person's going to die, but no, they took out two of the fan favorites and one person nobody cares about. But yeah, that was hard hitting. I didn't think I would say that about the White Lotus though.
Yeah, no, did you guys also feel that Mike White was a little obsessed with Thailand? Uh, he spent a lot more time on the like the animals and like the trees and the nature aspect of it, right? Maybe also because this is the first time it was set in an Eastern country, and like I saw it myself firsthand when I went there. Why people go ape shit for this Eastern shit, right? So
They
you
address it
package it,
on the show, right? Like when he's having that
yeah,
conversation
yeah.
with the
Put
monk.
someone in a saffron robe, and they're like, "Ah, take my money, please."
When
Like
they
I
say
think they
wise Indians, sorry, when they say wise Indians, that was the peak moment for me. I'm like, yes, we are represented finally amongst all these white people and Thai people and two black people. There is one Indian wise person in this. That was the moment for me.
I think he kind of like highlights it at a point. He says, I think was it when they visit the monastery, and
Yeah.
and the leader talks about how a lot of people, young people from the country, show up, and he says, why do they come? Because the spiritual malaise. There's no people have lost connection with nature, with their family, with their spirit. So what is left? The self, the identity. So chasing money, pleasure. Everyone runs from pain towards pleasure, but when they get there, they only find more pain. You cannot outrun pain. So I think it was very much a tongue-in-cheek, or rather not tongue-in-cheek per se. I think this was, he was aware it was a decision that was made by the showrunner to showcase why people are so obsessed with the East. Like you said, like Rohit, it's just, they spend so much time just cutting away, looking at
Yeah,
nature. They're like, okay, this season we have budget. Let's show you Thailand and it's all its
Yeah.
glory. Some like Thai tourism is probably going to cut you a paycheck in some way or the other. The 4 seasons in Koh Samui, the villas they're currently staying that they stay at are currently retailing for a night. They're about 14,000 US dollars per night. The start the starting
yeah,
price is about $1,900. That's how per night. That's where it starts. And I think
yeah.
we've discussed this in the past about how tourism in places where the White Lotus is set usually shoots up post the season, and things get a lot more expensive. So I believe the same holds good for Thailand as well, because everybody that I know has
Which is why
traveled
we
to.
went, by the way.
Yeah.
When we found out third season is happening, you're like, hey, we wanted to go. If we go after the third season, everything's gonna be more expensive. Quickly, let's go and come to fourth season.
So Thailand has become more expensive anyway. So I mean, Mike White is just following trends, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
I do believe that in this one there are two reasons which I think all those animal bits and random cutaways come into this one. A, because for the first time I feel like Mike White was sort of pushed to make a longer season, because rules of streaming and you need 8 episodes and all of that stuff. Because some of the episodes, this is where I contradict myself from the starting and tell you why this season is not the best. But some of the episodes in this season felt weaker than the others. They felt like filler episodes, literally. Some of the episodes had a lot of things which, if you discount entirely, would mean nothing to the rest of the story as well. So a lot of that. But I also like the fact that they showed a lot more of the place. But my main concern and issue with this entire series at this point of time is that they had an opportunity to not look at Asia or Thailand or Eastern philosophy with the whole white person gaze, where it's all about
Hmm.
yoga and like giving up things and all of that. But they just went ahead and played right into that. Now, I don't know whether he did that mockingly, because their PR definitely doesn't say that they did it mockingly, because you have Walter Goggins going and telling that how he had a Thai experience, and Mike White saying how he had a Thai experience. And today I read Walter Goggins did something similar with India, where India changed me and all of that. So there is that white person's perspective, or the Western person's perspective, on how the East sort of fixes you. I wish they had done more with the Eastern characters in the show, where they show their lives to be more real and like not at all bothered by a lot of this, because that's what a lot of our lives are. When a random white person comes here and goes into an ashram, the rest of us still have to go about doing our jobs as we are.
Yeah.
We are not all wise Indians throwing $2 philosophies at white people. That's what they showed the show to be, and that's where I felt like this is just the white person's gaze again. That was the only problem I had.
It very much is like when you said, has he done it ironically? I don't think so. That's giving him too much credit. In fact, the only point I had, apart from the criticism that I was messaging Abhin with every episode, the only other point observation I had to make was that Mike White is essentially white Zoya Akhtar, right?
Yeah.
Because all his stories are about rich people struggling with rich people problems that we don't give two shits about. They're all in exotic locations where everyone's on holiday, and you know, it it is very obvious that the director, both Zoya Akhtar and Mike White, have no idea what the problems of the common person are. They struggle to empathize, and they have this, like Zoya Akhtar has this upper class gaze. Mike White has this white gaze on how they look at things and their worldview, right? I mean, jokes apart, it the reason why something like a Dil Dhadakne Do is watchable because it is escapist. You know, you get a glimpse of how the other half lives. But there's no tangible lesson to take from it that you can apply to your own life, your own day-to-day life, right? It's
I
pure
agree with you.
escapism.
Yeah, I agree with you to the most part. And I think a lot of this comes from, let's say, like Mike White is cut from reality television, right? Like he's
Yeah.
not just. I was like, he's Survivor is basically something that he's appeared on a bunch of times. In fact, he keeps having people from Survivor on the show in some capacity or the other. I think what I'm trying to say is that just generally, like our viewing habits, our obsession with reality television, watching, like the Kardashians are famous for a reason because they're rich.
True.
They probably are at a strata of society that the common man will never achieve, right?
Yeah,
Will never even so much as like touch and come back. But you want to see those people go through the everyday problems that you face. In fact,
Or
it's
worse.
just like
Or worse.
yeah, or worse in some scenarios,
Yeah.
right? Like you're trying to see
Like taking a rickshaw to the Ambani wedding when they were in Bombay.
yeah,
And
exactly,
the rickshaw
like-
blows up in the middle of the thing. That's Mike White adding his masala to it. Yeah.
So it's essentially just the deconstruction of what you'd considered the perfect rich family, like money can buy you happiness and all of that sort. But in fact there is a lot more shit. There's a lot of shit just underneath those layers. Like even if you were to take this season, I think you can't afford to go to the White Lotus if you don't have money. Unless in the case of I think Rick and Chelsea, who kind of get a free pass given what happens, because Chelsea gets stuck in the robbery. I think they kind of like put this stay on the house because they weren't able to afford it completely. Barring them, Belinda, I think, is here on a course.
Yeah.
Bro, what is this exchange program where like you get a nice room, you have pool access? Real life में your exchange program only वो खोली मिल रहा है तुमको उधर रहने का तुम come to training go back.
I actually think there's a very beautiful layer there, and that is the fact that the Thai staff of the White Lotus are still a grade below the
Yes.
non-Thai. That's the
Yes,
reason they
that's
did that, and I think going back to the Survivor point, right? I think Mike Judge, I'm saying Mike White. Mike Judge is a different director. Mike White is great at people observational skills or whatever. Like that's a very reality TV skill set to have. And working on some reality stuff myself, I totally see what he's doing there. It is interesting from the perspective that he sees like very common problems and then just elevates, and then it's very obvious. It's very in your face. But at the same time, I think as a culture, and this is, I don't know whether it's good or bad, we kind of enjoy looking at rich people fail, and that
Exactly.
that is a
was coming
collective.
to.
That's where I think this show works, because that's the main thing that's common across all three of them is that rich people fail
Because
eventually.
we've all been missold a capitalist dream. So it's always nice to see, hey, somebody else also failed at the dream, right? It's not just me.
Yeah, and then they just flip it by making the one of the less fortunate people like Belinda become exactly the thing that she once hated and we hated.
Yeah.
So it's like Belinda is almost the viewer's proxy in this, because
Yeah.
apart from being the only other person connecting this to the rest of the White Lotus universe, apart
Yeah.
from Greg slash Gary. But I
Hmm.
feel like Belinda is that character stand-in for all of us because, hey, if you were given what $5 million, I would do a lot of things for $5 million. I would definitely do a lot more for $5 million than whatever she agreed to. So I think it
Yeah, I
totally
saw
works.
this Reddit post where somebody was like, $5 million is not enough to like live out the rest of it. Like, what are you saying, dude? Even in the US, 5 million is a lot. Thailand, mein, if you want to stay in like India or a 5 million, they're like set for life.
Yeah,
That's a
easily.
that's
That's a
she
lot of
made it.
money.
Yeah,
If you're smart about investments and all of that, and you spend 5 million and investing in things, sure, you'll make a lot of money. But if you're like me, bad with money, and you just spend 5 million for the rest of your life, somewhat judiciously, I think you can afford Thailand for the rest of your life. Like that is insane, and
yeah,
that sort of changes. Like with Zion coming in and doing all of that shit. That was one of the peak moments for me in this season because I really thought Belinda's story would go differently, but no, Mike White just like stabbing you in the heart with all the character
Yeah,
favorites,
just
I
towards the
guess.
end, yeah.
Just at
But
the end.
which is yeah. So which is again, I really wanted to like talk about the characters for this season. So which like and they all go on different arcs. So I'd like to know what characters that you loved particularly this season, who had the greatest arc, and and in parallel, who also had the worst arc. Because I think the worst arc, Aniket and I have a common one. But in terms of the best arc, I think we all have our own opinions on this.
okay, I can go first.
Mhm.
In terms of the best arc, I'm probably going to steal one of you's answers, I think, but I would say Saxon because he
Hmm.
started out as full-on wannabe stud bro, or maybe he actually was. I don't know, right? And one line, I'm forgetting the exact wording. Like these girls are thirsty for what? Young cum. I'm like, who talks like this?
You'd be surprised. Uh,
Have
A
you
lot
not
of
gone to
people.
school? What the fuck? Who talks like this to anybody? I wouldn't talk like this in the mirror. Right? So you are uttering these words to your brother. So, he comes from that space, and then last 2, 3 episodes, you see he's sort of, or maybe he always had this mature side, but he's felt that, you need to show this cocky, abrasive side to yourself. But his interactions with Chelsea sort of maybe make him more vulnerable, and he's okay to show that more mellow, quieter, more mature side. And I really like the interaction they had in the room, right, where they're just holding hands, and it looked like, okay, let's calm this energy down, and then uh, of course he does try to make a move on her, but I think that's something he can't resist. I feel at that point, but even subsequently, he's reading all those books. He's really immersing himself, right? And I don't know to what end. Maybe he's still trying to woo her, but it's a whole deal better. It's a whole, much better way to go about it than to say, hey, here's my young cum or whatever the fuck he said. So I like the maturity that his arc took. For me, the worst character arc, and I would say the biggest crime of the season was wasting Jason Isaac's talent, right? Uh, Tim, I don't like for the last 5 episodes, he was basically me on a Saturday night, tripping balls and beating, right? Like wanting to kill himself. I'm just like,
Okay.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
We'll
Is
It's
be
this a
like,
cry
sure to
for
check
help?
in.
no, no, I have to make these one too edgy. I have to say these one too edgy lines every episode. I
Uh,
mean, it's part of
uh,
my quota. But
okay.
like I remember both Poonam and I making the observation, right? He's spent the last 5 episodes. First of all, he's just dry swallowing that lorazepam. I'm like, bro, have water. Like, what
Yeah,
the fuck? You
hydrate.
can't just like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah. So
And he's just
unreal.
tripping balls. Yeah, it's so unreal. Just on this potent mix of lorazepam and whiskey. And all he does is sadly, and Jason Isaacs kills that expression, right? Where he's just sadly looking at his fam, and you can see tears well up in his eyes. I'm like, great, but can you do something more? You're either popping lorazepam, you're drinking, you're slurring, or you're staring off into space and, you know, almost crying. They could have done so much more. And he's such a good actor. He has so much gravitas. I feel they severely underutilized him, and therefore that character arc sort of stalled for.
I agree completely. Like Tim's character was so underdeveloped, and they barely didn't give. They didn't give him any lines for almost 4 episodes, 5 episodes in the middle, where he just uttered ugh, and just reaction shots. I was just, why would you do that with that guy? Like, cast anyone else. But the three children, right? Like the three characters rather. Firstly, I have a very very hard time believing that Saxon, the Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, whatever, what is his name? I don't know.
Patrick
Patrick,
Schwarzenegger.
Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Patrick. I don't know if Patrick is being real or whether he's playing a character, and that is freaking. It makes me
Yeah.
That really messed my head for the starting, because I'm like, wait, is this real? Because I've seen him on Shark Tank out of all places with his mother, and he has the same frat boy energy over there as well. So I'm like, wait, this is too real. Like, this is, I don't know.
Also, you have to point out Arnold Schwarzenegger's genes did a lot of heavy lifting, because there are
Lot of
times
heavy
you look at
lifting.
the guy and you're just like, this is young Arnold. This
Yeah,
is like,
yeah.
you could not have been anybody else's son. You were Arnold
Absolutely.
Schwarzenegger's son.
Absolutely. And then
But I think he's natty. He's not on steroids because
oh, you think he's
he
natty?
doesn't have that. Yeah. I don't like. I mean, you expect Arnold's son to be a lot more. But I'm like, cool, bro. You're not taking steroids. Healthy
It's
choice. I
good. It's
respect
good.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's like a much nicer. I hope he's a much nicer human being in real life.
Yeah.
But him with his two siblings, I think those three together, I would watch them even if they weren't a part of the White Lotus, and this was like a separate short film or film by itself, because they have very strong character arcs. They all sort of jumble themselves by the end of it. Piper, amazing. Like that is the archetype American
Yes.
person coming
Yes.
to Eastern cultures and then
Gap
realizing,
That was
The
my
gap year
favorite.
folks.
Yeah.
yeah.
It had, when they did what they did with that character, that was the one time
loved it. I loved it.
I was like, this is amazing. I know so many people that it is a representation of. It was
I have
perfect.
met so many white people like that who've come into India and then they're like, shit, no, this shit is too crazy for me. I'm like, yes, that's why we are getting out of here.
Yeah. No, and the
uh,
worst is when these white people come down, they're like, I feel like I belong here. I've made
no,
this point earlier, Abhin. I'm like, bro, fuck off. You're living like super privileged life. You come live in one university hostel for one. Forget
yeah,
even that whatever her setup was for that one night. I was like, hey, this looks good. I wouldn't mind.
same. I have seen shittier houses in Bombay than that,
Yeah.
and way worse food.
You know,
That food was good.
you know
Yeah.
what the funny thing is, Brian Johnson, like, literally this happened when Brian Johnson came to India like 3 weeks ago to do interviews, and then cut his trip short back because the pollution was too much, and he left. he was doing a podcast with Nikhil Kamath, I think, in Bombay, and he was like, I can't stay here. It's outside. I'm getting my throat is drying up. I need to leave. And he did a whole video talking about how, I mean, he's not wrong. The pollution levels in India are off the charts. And he almost didn't make the trip, but he showed up because the rooms had certain filters.
But Brian Johnson, at the same time, I do think that guy stays with the side of
Pinch of
whatever
salt.
supplement
Yeah.
he's selling, because you know what the AQI levels are here. Why are you coming? Don't come. Like, simple. Like, just freaking see the
Yeah,
news,
it was
bro. Like, what the fuck?
one Google search away.
Yeah. That's like literally the first thing I look at when I have to go to any city in India. Like, oh, do I want to go out? Will I die? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like, whatever people do for clickbaity videos nowadays, like, it almost feels structured. Anyway, not going to that. But my most favorite character in this entire season was obviously the third sibling, Lachlan, who happens to be one of my favorite actors from the newsroom, Emily Mortimer. Lachlan is
Yeah,
apparently the actor that plays him is the son, and I
her
was like,
son.
Yeah.
whoa,
Him
no
and
wonder,
Alessandro
Alessandro
Nivola,
Nivola. Yeah.
who was
whoa, dude.
uh,
But coming back to the show, like, I think he had one of those, because, for whatever certain things that he does with his brother in the middle of it, you're thrown off. You're like, why the hell is this guy doing whatever he's doing? But the reasons why he does it, or whatever reasons Mike White writes into the script for, to justify whatever he did, that makes full sense. He's a people pleaser, and he was pleasing his brother. So, yeah. Best person
And
on
when
the
he
show.
said I'm a people pleaser, I was like, buy him a chocolate or something, bro. You don't have to give bro jobs. What the fuck?
Hand job, I think. Hand job.
Okay, yeah, a bro job is a bro job. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, his reasoning was Saxon is really into that. So he helped him with that. What a
Fair.
good brother.
Fair.
I mean, he does the same with
Yeah.
his sister too, right? Like the sister wants to go to the monastery. He's like, yeah, I'll go with you. So
Yeah.
he's
He was
always
spiritually jerking her off and he was like, literally jerking him off. Fair.
tomato. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes
Go on,
sense.
Abhin. Tell us who your favorite was, which is obviously.
No, so my favorite was, funny enough, the three women, because what I found was Leslie Bibb's character, Carrie Coon, and Michelle Monaghan's character are the perfect representation of women's groups, or like certain women, of women's friends groups that exist today. In fact, when I first put out a post saying, just tell me your thoughts on the White Lotus, a bunch of my girlfriends just all replied saying, that friend group feels very real. And I hope our friend group doesn't turn into that. You have the one character, Michelle Monaghan's character, who basically wants her friends to worship the ground she walks on. She's had the most success. There's one who is the perfect housewife, has built a community, is very much part of it. Slightly more conservative in their approach, but is
MAGA.
what you consider.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
basically.
not slightly more
Not
conservative, bro.
slightly.
Yeah. And then you have the career woman, the woman who basically who built her own life and faced a lot of struggle along the way, and which has kind of shaped who she's become these last couple of years or so. And she's dealing with a lot of that while trying to play catch up to these two friends that she's kind of always felt she has been lagging behind for the entirety of her life. You put all three of them in a space where they don't have room to get out, and sooner rather than later all of their old issues start to crop up. And I liked the power dynamics at play. At points I was like, okay, Carrie Coon's character is head and shoulders the best thing about this. At times I really related with Leslie Bibb's character, who's trying to sort out, calm this place down. She's kicking people out of the house as they're parting into the night, and I was like, that's me. I relate.
That is
Like,
me.
go, everybody
Yeah.
go home. Yeah. Similarly with Michelle Monaghan, I think at some point she's like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and she's having a bit of self doubt, even though it's not as much as with the other two. And I think Carrie Coon has possibly the best monologue in the entire show, talking about how she's just happy to be at the table, how you know she's never had any sort of religious beliefs, how work was her religion, how and how love and marriage was her religion at some point, and how it all caused her so much pain. I thoroughly enjoy. I don't think the resolution is they finally they understand each other. They have those conflicts, which eventually lead to them getting closer, which I found really nice amidst the other arcs that were unfolding. I didn't hate Jason Isaacs' arc. I think there is a man struggling with the idea of losing everything and what it will do to his family. Like, his family has always, he talks about it. He says, from day one, I've just had to face like a world of pressure. And so he's had to do is constantly deliver again and again. And now, thanks to some sort of business decisions, his entire family is about to lose everything. Like, he might go to jail, he won't be able to practice anymore, which is why he goes around asking them, right? Saying, if we lost everything, how would you be? And that kind of eventually solidifies his decision to do what he does in the last episode. And I was really, and even though he may not say much, I think Jason Isaacs is such a good actor. The mannerisms and the sheer uncomfortableness that he's discomfort he's facing walking around this resort that is designed to make you feel safe while being hounded by this resort staff woman who is just like, give me your phone, don't talk on the phone. I kind of
Yeah, I
really
mean, what
enjoyed.
the hell was that, dude? If that happens, I'm in a hotel and that somebody's that person, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I am paying some exorbitant rate. I will play like Bhojpuri Instagram videos in the restaurant on full volume, and you can't do a damn thing. Who are you to come and keep asking me, give me my phone, give me my phone? One tight slap, dude. She was very annoying, that
And that's why they hate Indian tourists in Thailand. Yeah. That is exactly why they hate us. It's fine.
Oh God,
But we will do it.
there's
If
the
I
clip.
was I actually think that the three people who are so underrated are the three Russian folks who are in the thing, because that's just Mike White saying, "Hey, look, Russia has fucked up political situation, so now these people can't go back. So now they're thieving. They're thieves who just rob people."
Yeah.
And I think they could have done so much more with those guys. They were just so wasted, dude, on the side. Like, again, waste of characters, I feel.
Speaking of wasted, Lisa from BLACKPINK, I feel like they completely
Uh,
abandoned the character arc about what halfway in, like 3/4 into the
Bro,
season.
I think Mike White took a lesson from LinkedIn and did CFBR, casting for
Correct.
better reach.
Yeah.
It is. It's that only. I think they had to do some token Thai casting, which also needs to be famous across the region, South Korea,
Correct.
Philippines, all Southeast Asia, India, wherever. So they just cast her because there was so much expectation that, oh, let's see more happen over here. And then I'm so tired of all the PR saying that how obsessed this guy talk guy was about this person because they're a celebrity. I'm like, yeah, but we didn't get to see that on the show. Like it had nothing.
Yeah, how
It
does
didn't
it
add
matter?
anything. How does this matter to us? Like that was one of the weakest parts of the show. Like Guy Talk is the worst security guard on this planet. He should not be hired
Dude,
as anyone's bodyguard.
so our building has especially weak security guards. So imagine the night shift guards at 11, chadar leke they cover their face and sleep, okay? That's our building security. After watching the show, we were like, bro, this guy is worse than our building
Yeah,
security.
he's really bad at his job, and it just sucks. I mean, Mike
He
White
doesn't
telling us
want to
that.
do it.
I mean, he does because he wants to impress the girl, because that's
Girl,
apparently
yeah.
the thing that happens in the end. But it was so weak. It was so weak, and like I think I was actually for the first time in the show, I was on the side of the bullies. Like those other bodyguards would come and bully him. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, he deserves all of it. He's so shit at
fuck
his
is.
job. Give him more. Give him more shit for doing this shit, dude. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised none of us mentioned Victoria. I think general consensus was she's the new Tanya, right? At this point, she's the
Yeah, but I
most
think
quotable
she's just meme
female.
worthy.
She
Yeah,
was pretty much,
uh,
yeah.
correct.
Blu-rays.
But I know, like the rewatchables has this whole Dion Waiters category. If we had an equivalent category, I would have to give it to Sam Rockwell, right? That first
Yeah.
monologue
Oh.
itself.
Oh.
I was I was literally like waterlogged. I'm like,
What?
what? What?
Apparently,
The
there's a condition, there's a term for it. It's
it
called
went up, and then somewhere I don't know where that graph
Yeah.
went.
uh,
When
it's
he's
called
like, I thought,
autogenophilia.
yeah, I was like, when he said, I
Wait, what
realized
is
I
it called?
wanted
What
to
is it
be
called?
those Asian women.
It's called autogenophilia, where you're aroused by the thought of you dressing up as a woman. I
It's not
just
just
found out
dressing
about
up.
it.
He said, I wanted to be those Asian women. I'm like, dude, what are you? I don't, how to process this?
Stealing a joke
And even
from
later, when he
no, go
falls
on,
off
go.
the wagon, he's just running around in his underwear. I'm like, dude, Sam Rockwell did not give a fuck.
Stealing a joke from Rohan Joshi. I think that's what Ritesh Deshmukh also wanted to do in the 2010s. It was fucking hilarious. I want to be an Asian woman. That's literally the same thing, same thought I had. Because all those cross-dressing movies in the middle, yeah, it was just that. Like
Yeah,
I I I don't know what I feel about Sam Rockwell's character. I don't even know what his name is in the show. I don't remember it. But I just loved the fact that he was a part of the show and he did whatever he did.
yeah.
Because you needed the yang to Walter Goggins yin, and I don't think that is the girlfriend over here. It is
Amy
Sam
Lou,
Rockwell.
that's
Yeah,
Chelsea.
it's not Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's not Chelsea. I think sure Chelsea and this guy had like a nice sordid thing, and whatever, she died for love and all of those things, sad things happened, but these two, they are the relationship I cared about more than all the other
Yeah.
relationships. Like, how did they meet? How did these two people ever meet? They never go into that. And
What were they? Were they like mercenaries? We
yeah,
have no
what the
idea.
fuck
I
were they?
think they were hitmen.
Yeah,
Were they not
no,
hitmen? I just always thought they were hitmen who
I
basically
would say
like.
more mercenaries, not hitmen is more targeted assassination, right? Mercenaries are when you go into like a whatever a theater of war and
I
extrajudiciously sort of
that mystery
they're
that
soldiers of
mystery
fortune. Yeah,
that mystery about these two people, and even like Greg, we sort of saw Greg slash Gary, we saw in the previous season, so we know that he's a shady guy. But these two, I
Greg
still
and
do.
Sam Rockwell should have met, dude. Greg
Yeah.
has his own fantasy. He wants to be a cuck. This guy wants to be an Asian woman. I'm like, hello, meet each other. I will connect you
Yeah.
on WhatsApp.
They should have met in season 2. Then they would have totally done it. They would have done it. Season 2, everyone was boning everyone. Here, not so much.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
they even cut out some parts. Apparently, Belinda's son,
Zion and
Zion and Piper were supposed to
Piper.
do it in the last episode, but they cut it out. And I'm glad they cut it out because that would be like just random at the end of it and very, very on the nose. But I think, yeah, I kind of liked. I liked what's the mother's character again? I keep like I liked all her
Victoria.
lines. Victoria. I
Victoria.
liked all the lines. See, this is why I watch White Lotus and I don't remember anyone's names because it's not important. They're all white people. You don't have to remember them.
Yeah, exactly.
Did anyone feel like they copped out with the whole Lachlan death thing? Because I really thought.
Yeah, I really hoped he died. Yeah.
Not because of not because of his fault or anything. I mean, I obviously, okay, for there's only one reason which I blame him
Not
for
because
it.
of that, because they landed the death so well. That scene of him underwater and all, such a very nice, poignant farewell, right? It would have been so nice.
Also, maybe I'm old, but who doesn't wash fucking blenders left overnight? I don't
guys
get
who are young and go to college, they don't wash things. I've lived with people like this, and my girlfriend said the same thing. She's like, "Why won't he just wash it?" I'm like, "I have lived with boys who do the exact same thing, who do not wash things, and yeah, they have gotten food poisoning from that."
Like the explanation is primarily because I think he thinks it has alcohol in it, which is why he blends it in the morning. Because they don't give him the poison drink the night before, right? Like, because he's the one guy amongst all of them that says I could live without the money. And I think the next day he's thinking, oh, I want to try this pina colada that dad made, even though he said the milk sucked, whatever. If they had stuck if they had kept his death in, which I really thought happened, and thanks to and I was expecting this because of one person who couldn't keep her mouth shut, which is Rohit's wife Poonam, who basically blurted this out to me in a car while going, and I wasn't sure if it was Laurie or Lockie, so I was just waiting for either one of them to die.
I thought it was a misdirection over here, though. I feel like the way it has been edited, at least, because a lot of diehard fans and people who have been up with the season knew there were going to be 3 deaths. Because season 3, Mike White is obvious. So him dying first, then I think the father / guy dying would then mean Amy dying after that. Like if you just saw it in that order, Amy Lou's character, Chelsea dying after that, would be like, oh shit, now you're in a space where Walter Goggins' character is now left without the love of his life and the fact he just shot his dad. I thought that was like a nice, clever misdirection, but it didn't have that payoff for everyone because the way they showed his intense death, where he's fading into the water and all of that stuff.
It was so nice.
It was nice.
You know what that is a tribute to, no?
To that sensory. What is it a tribute to? Sorry, go on.
It's a tribute to Ophelia.
Oh, okay.
The painting.
Right.
In the water, yeah.
But it was so like some bits.
You're saying Rick's death, right? Not Lockie's.
No, Rick's
death. Rick's death. Rick's death.
The final shot pans on him. That is Ophelia, yeah.
Lachlan's death is though because he was in that sensory deprivation tank before and whatever they. I'm like, wow, they're doing this. So he dies also like this. And I was actually sad when he died. So when they copped out and they brought him back to life, I'm like, hey man, no.
Also, I feel his death would have been more impactful for the same reason that Chelsea's death was, right? It's always the innocents who end up dying at the end. I mean, he is not entirely innocent, like we said. He's given his bro a hand job and all. But apart from
that's an innocent hand job, okay? Come on. It's fine.
What's a hand job between brothers? Okay.
Yeah.
But he's relatively the more innocent character. His death would have had a lot more impact. Rick dying, I'm like, yeah, this is payoff for a life of crime. So I don't know. And also the narrative irony that the one person who said he could have lived being poor, being the one who would have died, while the rest of them survive and have to face whatever uncertain future is in store for them, would have been a nice inversion. I really feel they copped out with it. Yeah, they shouldn't have.
So I think now that we're done with the waves crash against the rocks, as Mike White puts it, I believe it's going to be the next season might just take it to some sort of wintry landscape. That's probably where we might be in the mountains for the next one.
Yeah, nice. Do a Gestad or some skiing, other
Star would
The other
probably be
thing
where.
that rich white people do is
Where is the if I heard it's going to be in Scandinavia, but then Scandinavia doesn't have any Four Seasons, and Four Seasons is where all these White Lotuses usually take place. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do it in somewhere in Europe and have other white people show up. I don't really know where it's going to happen. What I am really interested in though is that I think Mike White or someone related to the show said that there might be spin-offs, and those spin-offs are something that I really would want to watch. Like I don't really care about the same format again, where you see Body Bag in the starting and find out who Body Bag was. It's like a guessing game and a whodunit sort of thing at this point of time. So sure, I'll watch it anyway because it's a White Lotus season and I'll watch it. But I'm more interested in seeing how he could. And this is me who usually hates universe expansions. I here for a change I would like to see some of the characters live out their lives and see more into their lives because they're very interesting characters to begin with, like the three friends. Like I would want to know how they got to that point in the first place. Like there are some interesting things like that, but then again I know Mike White doesn't like going that back in time, but there were some very clever things that they're thrown in, which I think I'm hearing rumors, and these are just rumors, that they might actually do a Tanya spin-off, because somewhere in the news articles when Belinda's character is reading up about Tanya's death, they actually have a little bit which says that Tanya's story has been co-opted by some has been optioned by some Hollywood production studio and is going to be made into a series or a film. So I can totally believe Mike White doing just that, like just making that Tanya thing, because also Tanya is so famous and is literally the face of the White Lotus. I think a lot of people had that problem, that why isn't Tanya not there in flashbacks? They don't understand how death works, I guess. But yeah,
yeah.
I think that would be an interesting thing. I'm not that excited for season 4 to be honest, because what else can they do at this point? What can they do? I don't know. But it's like Rohit said, it's location it's the location pond, it's a vacation pond, so
Yeah,
maybe
actually,
we'll see.
vacation pond is a better way to put it. You're right.
Yeah, it is vacation pond, and we're never going to be able to, like, most of us are not going to be able to afford these $14,000 whatever suites. And there's a YouTube video where I think one group of I don't know if they're a company or a YouTuber group, that they've gone to all three White Lotuses, and I was happy watching that. I'm like, wow, so nice. I will never go. But yeah, I'm not that excited for season 4.
On
Also,
that note, by the way, last weekend I was, or a couple of weekends back, I was looking at the, those first class flight, may not just first class, you get those rooms. I'm forgetting
yeah,
what the
yeah,
term for that is. I was looking at Emirates mein kaisa hai, I'm seeing Etihad mein kaisa hai. I'm just like, bro, I'm so poor. Like this
yeah.
flight ticket costs 30 lakhs.
And the other reason, just going back to this because I'll forget, the other reason that I think I'm going to miss and not care about season 4 as much is they're changing the music composer. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I have
I,
been a fan of Cristobal Tapia Devi from Utopia.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
when I
So,
watched the British show, I was like, who has made, first of all, who did the visuals for that show? I was like, who has made the music? It's the most offbeat composer I've ever heard. It's super sad what
Yeah, they
what's
both had a
so
happening.
sad.
falling
Maybe the
out.
success is going to Mike White's head. I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah.
speculate, but
Don't want to
really sad he won't
speculate,
be
but
around.
probably yes.
Yeah, really sad that he won't be there.
Yeah,
In
I
fact,
don't know.
we listened to the first season ka OST in the car when we were driving around. It's just good, independently good listening. Also, it works amazingly for the show, but it's also great listening.
It is. It definitely is. Yes.
And as a result of the feed, you guys must have heard he put the song out on YouTube. And it does have the ulululus in the end. It's just that the part that plays in the show doesn't have
They
it. So
cut
a
it
lot of
out.
criticism,
Yeah, they cut
yeah,
it
it's
out.
stupid. It's unwarranted criticism.
And I think that's Mike White, and that's the reason for their fallout, because Mike White just cut that
Yeah.
shit out.
I would be pissed as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I'm getting all this flack because you took this executive decision.
Decision. Yeah.
True.
Cool. I think that's it. We what a crisp 1 hour, guys. One
Yes.
more thing you
Wow.
have to
Before we, sorry,
add.
not that I have something serious to say. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
know this episode is about the White Lotus, but while that mid-season of a show, in my opinion, was happening, in the same period, there's one show that has come out which has, in my opinion, had one of the all-time great seasons. Also it's not on HBO, it's on Max. It's called The Pit. I mentioned this to Abhin earlier. So I'm piggybacking on this episode, and I'm gonna keep doing this until Abhin agrees to watch The Pit and does an episode on that with me. It's about ER workers in this Pittsburgh hospital, starring Noah Weil. So it's sort of like a continuation of his journey from ER. It is fucking outstanding. It is outstanding. I hope it gets nominated for all the awards this year. It depicts mass shootings. There's so much that's happening, and it's short in it's sort of like 24 in the sense that 1 hour of the show is 1 hour of their shift. So it's an emergency room ka shift. It is. If you guys haven't watched it, please watch it. Probably, if not for Adolescence, is a limited series, but seeing that Pitt has a season coming next year, this was for me the best show of the year by far. I don't want to say this with the hat and the glasses on. So it was my serious.
I will
bit.
watch it. I will watch it. I haven't
I will
watched
watch
much
it too, right.
television.
Neither have I.
I'll
I need to get
yeah.
yeah.
We shall watch it.
Well, done. So, okay, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you liked the new season of The White Lotus, tell us. If you didn't like it, please tell us. If you like Rohit's outfit, please tell us. If you didn't like it, also please tell us. Essentially leave your thoughts and comments below. Aniket, once again, thank you for joining so much, my friend. This has been a blast.
It's amazing.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
3 wise Indian men.
Should take a holiday soon.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you on the next one, everyone. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.